teams and also just the second manager to win 4 UEFA Super Cup titles. And the only man to have done that before Pep is the man Don Carlo Ancelotti. And of course, the man Erling Haaland, although he didn't get to score yesterday, but of course continues his impressive time at Manchester City and continues his trophy raid in Europe particularly, and it brings back the conversation of the Ballon d'Or award if he's eligible to get that award. We talk about City's performance yesterday, what stood out for City and how they went on to get the victory. We'll look at other stories from the home scene where sports in the country has a new minister. We'll talk about the man and what he's going to be bringing to sports in the country in the wake of the recent crisis rocking not just football, but sports generally. And apart from that, to look at the CAF Confederations Cup, the CAF Champions League, we're expecting action later this weekend, and teams are already making moves to different countries. We hear that AS Chlef have moved to arrive in Benin City. They have a game against Benin Insurance on Sunday. For Nigeria's only representative in the CAF Women's Champions League, they've got a game later this weekend in Benin City. And of course, we're talking about Delta Queens, who would be battling things out against Ampem Dakwa Ladies. And it's a story for the show as well this very afternoon. Well, we'll look at other interesting stories, particularly transfers. Well, yesterday we said that he was having a medical at Chelsea. His name is Michael Olise. This afternoon, the story is that Michael Olise has signed a new contract at Crystal Palace, and it's a conversation for the afternoon. Well, is this a bid to get 100 million of Chelsea, or are they just trying to secure the man for the coming years? It's a conversation for the afternoon too. We hear that the Saudi raid is not just over yet. We hear that the Saudi FA and UEFA are in talks to include a Saudi Pro League team in the UEFA Champions League. It's a conversation for the afternoon too. It's getting close. For this and so much more will form the crux of what we'll discuss with you this afternoon. Good afternoon, by the way. Welcome to the Football Fans Attack. It's live on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. It's one of those beautiful Thursday afternoons to be back. My name is Marizona. Leading delegation of 3 gentlemen in the studio. Bladon Kim is here with me. I've got Funny Tina and UT David makes a return to the show. And together, we'll do justice to everything that's in the plates. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to go down. Call your friends, call loved ones, call your enemies, because we're here. Welcome. In the course of the show, we're starting from the home scene, and Nigeria has gotten a new sports minister. It was announced yesterday evening that a Cross River State-born politician, Senator John Enoh, is the new Minister of Sports Development, and it's a story. Well, one of the key talking points from this story, guys, is the fact that the 2 portfolios have been separated. Before now, it used to be Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, but right now it's now been separated. And Abubakar Momo, who's from Edo State, by the way, is now the Minister of Youth. And it's a conversation. But who exactly is John Enoh? John Enoh was born in 1966 in the Agbokim Waterfall community of Cross River State and is married to Rachel Onwan with children. John Enoh served as the senator representing the Central Senatorial District of Cross River State in the 8th Assembly of the Senate. He was a member of the PDP until May 2017 when he switched to the APC. Well, it's a story. Well, Enoh holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Sociology from the University of Calabar. He graduated as a top student in 1988 with a second-class upper. And he's also taught at the University of Calabar for 7 years from 1991 to 1997. He joined politics in 1997 and, of course, has been there for a while. But apart from his political stories, he's an established farmer. He owns several farms where he engages in arable and livestock production. And that's the story. And, guys, before we talk about this man, Blyden, let me give this to you, T. By the way, what do you make of the separation? Because it's been an age-long conversation. The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, so the minister handles two different sectors of the nation. It's now been separated by the President Tinubu. What do you make of this development, UT?
Well, I think it makes sense, some positive outcome from the new administration, because we've always known the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. But I think it wouldn't really have, much impact on the game or even the ministry as we speak, because you've actually read out the portfolio of this man, and we've not heard anything about sports related.
We'll talk about that.
It doesn't really make any sense at this point. Effective-wise, it would have been if we had a serial sports person in that ministry, Mary.
Now, Blyden, the past two sports ministers before John Enoh, right, for all we know, prior to the appointment as sports ministers, had little or no affiliation to sports before their appointment. Look at Solomon Dalong, was a lawyer, worked in the prison service before getting into politics and all of that. And it was quite a disastrous story, to say the least. We saw how, he was quite involved in the NFF crisis, Chris Giwa at the time, and of course Amaju Pinnick, that saw our league that year cut short. And it was a sad story. Sunday Dare, the recent sports minister, we know we know his involvement in the NBBF story where basketball was withdrawn from the country.
Solomon Dalong.
And people say that our sports ministers, and the fact that most of them do not have affiliations with sports before the appointment, come into the system, and it worsens the story particularly. Now, the new sports minister, John Enoh, as I've read his portfolio, his profile, there's nothing about sports in the profile. What are you expecting? Are there high hopes, judging from the fact that the last two never had affiliations with sports and it didn't end well?
Well, Mari, the position of the minister could be quite difficult. Sometimes for me, it might not necessarily be someone who has lots to do with sports, because it's quite difficult. Yes, it's an appointment, it's a political position.
Yeah.
You can actually also be someone who knows sports quite well and not be successful at that position.
Yeah, but
so
it's a lot more easier if you're familiar with the terrain. Sports is a different terrain entirely, and it needs some level of familiarity.
I'm going there, Mari.
Right.
Calm down.
All right.
But here's the thing, Mari. I'm going in this direction. I'm looking for someone who understands the politics in sports to be there and has the love to do well. One of the biggest problems I have for most ministers who've been there, because you ought to be first a good human being for me. Someone who cares about the sports, who cares about things working out well within the sector, talking about sports now. And then also gets to understand, because it could be difficult. Up there, lots of politics taking place, Arizona. So you can't be a man that knows the sports, but get into that realm, and your hands are being tied. You can't do anything. It happens even at a smaller level. So for me, I don't want to judge the man yet. Let me see what he'll do. But I know it could have been better with someone who has some experience in sports.
Now, we keep saying we don't want to judge the man. The same thing when Solomon Dalong was appointed. We don't want to judge him. Let's see what he does, and we saw what he did, right? Fast forward to Sunday Dare. We don't want to judge him. He's been a journalist, graduate of history, international relations, and all of that. You don't want to judge him, but from the ratings in the media space and in the public space, he never did good. And his ratings, his scorecard in the eyes of Nigerians was not that palatable. Talk about Sunday Dare. Now, John Enoh has come in right now, and of course, he's also not so familiar from his profile with the sports industry. Now, we are in an era where sports is a major contributor to a country's economy. Look at England, look at Spain, look at France, how much money they make from sports. You want to talk about Europe. Look at South Africa, for instance. They've hosted the World Cup. Look at Morocco, making money from sports. So it's not like it's a European thing. African countries are making money from sports. And we need somebody that understands the dynamics of sports and how profitable it is a venture right now to come in and help us get to that level.
Well, I find it very funny when people say he does not have to be involved with sports for him to be the sports minister. We are talking about the number one person for sports in the country, and he does not have any, previous knowledge of sports. You want to work in a top company, you need to have at least some few years of experience. Go to any big company in the world right now, you'll be asked for working experience. And you're telling me that the Minister of Sports in Nigeria does not have any experience whatsoever in sports. You want to check his resume.
At least for all we know, he's not been a sports administrator. He's not been a sports person.
Arizona, he has nothing to do with sports. I've combed everywhere. I've gone to the looks and crannies.
I trust you.
I've looked for everything about sports about this man. It's all about agriculture. Why didn't you just make him the Minister of Agriculture or something? You're compensating people with the sports ministry.
Let's get to that conversation right now. It's an appointment, and of course, the president, of course, after a recommendation from his close allies, decided to award this man the ministry. But how do we separate sports from politics? Because obviously the whole scenario playing out right now is a story of politics.
Absolutely. Marriage is a situation we find ourselves in Nigeria, and just as political scientists will advise, everyone is a political being, so you have to also learn the politics around the games. And this conversation about politics is one of the biggest problems of our sporting activities and developmental sports in this country. If you come to Akwa Ibom State, it's the same story. At the FA level, it's all politics. Going down to the grassroots, it's all politics. So that's why I started that conversation that way. Tina might be talking sport and have lots of experience in sport, and he's placed in that position, and the politics shackles him. It's the conversation. Look at all the people in NFF. Look at all of them. That's why I think the people ought to be good people first, despite the politics, to do right. But here's it, Mari, moving forward. And I'm quite happy that those two ministries have been separated, the youth ministry and the sports ministry.
Yeah.
It's good because begin to think about handling youth. Youth is across board, wide. At least we can understand.
And then especially in the context of youth in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Yeah, youth in Nigeria are our fathers.
So if you're talking about youth, that's another angle.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about across all walks of life. But now we can narrow it down to football and sports and basketball and the rest. And we know what we're doing and what we're looking forward to. Right. I really hope personally the man gets to work well moving forward, because politics is always associated. We're not gotten to that level yet. Where we can separate politics from it. But I hope we start to do it even from the members of the NFF. We start to do it. Ex-internationals have a lot of role to play.
Yeah, I'm thinking of dragging the conversation.
That's another question.
All right, for 10 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. Biden, I want to ask you, you know me very well, you know what I'm capable of, and you're told I'm a good person, I'm a good man, and you need someone to perform a surgery on you, and you see a doctor who has experience in medicine, and now you know me as a good person. Would you come to me or that doctor?
It's past 10 seconds, man.
Just answer. Would you go to me or the doctor?
Well, I'll go to the doctor.
That's it.
No, that's not it. Let me explain why. Give me 10 seconds too. What is the job of...
Take 15, because 10 will not be enough.
What is the job? What is the job of the minister? Is the minister going to be a coach? No. Is the minister going to run around in the field? Is the minister supposed to do technical analysis? No.
The minister has lots of...
Let me explain.
He's an administrator. He's going to be an administrator of a specialized field.
I agree with you.
And the keyword is specialty.
I agree with you.
Right.
So it's not the same case as a doctor. So you can be a specialist, a coach, but they give you the position of an administrator, and you cannot do the job. That's my point.
The thing is,
I'm not separating before he comes in. I'm not saying that having a knowledge of sports does not reflect. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying this. There's lots of politics in the system already.
Right.
Now, it's an advantage if you have the knowledge of sports in there. But on the other hand, if you have the knowledge of sports and also do not understand the politics, I want to share something with you about a friend of mine, Ifyok. Come on. We've talked about it. Maria had an experience. Have done some coaching jobs, at least at a local level.
Yeah.
I went to coach a place once. And the politics in that place, took away all my coaching talents.
No, Blyden, I understand all of that. We understand. Before I started, I talked about the politics.
And the power tussles in it as well.
Exactly, involving Nigerians and of course politicking, lobbying and all of that to get positions.
You might not even know how to get funds.
That's understood. But are we saying at this point that there's no there's no sports person in the country, that is politically inclined and understands the political terrain of Nigeria that would have been given this opportunity? So it would make sense if he understands the politics and also is familiar with sports. Are we saying there's nobody like that in Nigeria?
How many ex-internationals, how many ex-athletes, or how many ex-sports persons have we really given that chance to ascertain whether or not he can actually do it? Take, for instance, now Nwankwo Kanu being the chairman of Imba International FC. We've seen what he's already done as we speak. The instant impact is made in that particular club side. We're talking sponsors that are sponsoring European teams coming to sponsor Imba rather ahead of the new season. So he has the experience, and he also understands the politics and plays it well. Now, let's give this ex-international chances, and then we can actually judge them from there.
Back to the political conversation and understanding the politics, like you said. Now, is this a case of ex-sportsmen not given a chance? Or it's a case of politics ruling every sphere of the Nigerian society, which I think is a canker meeting us very, very deep?
I agree with that perspective, because people might hear me and think I'm saying otherwise. That's not what I'm saying.
I beg, explain, Tasha.
What I'm saying is this: we're in this mix already. It's the problem of the Nigerian system.
All right.
We're in it already. But on the other hand, I did talk about ex-international or to come in. Look at Kanu Nwankwo. Kanu Nwankwo has been in and around the political scene since retiring from football. He's been the owner of some clubs and ended up selling those clubs to NNL side. He's happened time and time again. He knows the system. And finally, he's part of Enyimba. So there are those like that could have been part of it, but they are not in the mainstream politics. That is the problem. So I'm beginning to think maybe some of these ex-internationals who are already within the politics of football, because the mainstream...
So why are they not in the mainstream politics? What do they need to do to get into...
Mary, you understand now?
All they need to do in the mainstream politics is to be APC, PDP.
All right, guys. It's started being the SA to an SA to an SA. I didn't say anything. All right, so now I'm fun. This is where we are as a country. So we know where we are. But let's try to move forward. So what are the expectations from he's here. We cannot change him. He is the Minister of Sports Development. So you have a chance to advise him. What are the things you expect him to fix, at least in the next 100 days in office as the Minister of Sports?
Well, first of all, go to those... I heard you say earlier on in the morning, we were talking about going to the place that has been deeply rotten, that have been affected the most.
Oh, grassroots.
No, not the grassroots. It should start from where has been affected the most by, the corruption in the sports ministry right now. Go to those areas, especially the Basketball Federation. I don't know what's happening there. Our D Tigers are faltering up and down. Our D Tigers had to, there were a lot of debacles before they just concluded Afro Baskets. So I think he has to go to this particular sector and sort them out.
All right, so let's narrow it down to football, because this is a football show, UT. Football in the country is not also so good.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's not also good. We're just trying to patch up damage control, but it's not also good because there's still a lot to do. So talking football in Nigeria, where are you advising John Enoh to fix, at least in the first 100 days in office?
First up, it should be about the developmental phase of grassroots, football ranking in the country. Over time, we've always talked about the under-17s, the under-20s creating some level of dominance, not just at the continent of Africa, but at the international stage. But the last couple of years, we have seen these teams, our national teams, going outside. Not doing so well in the past as compared to what we usually see in the past. Another thing should be infrastructural development as well. We've talked about our stadiums not being good enough. The other time we had and approved just one stadium for Imba International and other teams who are participating on the continent of Africa. So that gets to show you how bad our pitches have been in terms of the developmental phase of our stadium. So it should be about grassroots development. Scouting these players at the early stages and also developing our infrastructure.
Now, Blyden, football in Nigeria has a monster. That monster is called the NFF, right? Because, no matter how much in the country right now, we're talking about transparency issues, money going to where money shouldn't go to and all of that. So John Enoh has come in. How does he get to fix the lack of transparency at the NFF level? That's one. Secondly, the remuneration conversation we're hearing about the Falcons. He should fix that, at least in the first 100 days in office.
Murray, they say the lawyers here, he that wants to do what should go with clean, which is equity, yes, should go with clean hands. The lawyers here, you can say more about that. But here is
Let's not start Latin maxims.
But here is it, Murray.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems I've found with the previous ministers has been taking sides.
Yeah.
It's been the biggest problem I've seen, always coming in to take sides one way or the other.
And it brings back the political conversation because they're taking sides with the political allies.
And the moment the minister comes, certain people begin to lobby. They want to be in the good books.
Yeah.
And if the minister falls for it, it becomes a problem. So what I want him to do is to really be neutral and not take sides in this business, number one. Number two, I want him to, because if you're neutral, you set things right. You run the process right. NFF is not stronger than the ministry. No matter what they want, come on, he who pays the piper does what? He takes the tune. But here's it, Mari, at the end of it. Let me add this one. One of the things I really want to see in the league change. We're talking about grassroots football. There's limited things that the ministry can do on their own, exception of the laws. One of the laws I want to see state leagues all across the country. Working state leagues, trust me, we'll begin to look at football as a professional system early enough. Players will be able to sign deals early enough. So by the time you get to the NNL, you get to the NPL or whatever you want to call it now, it's better. And the processes become even better. Those are the things I want to see, Mari.
All right, so we spent a lot of time talking Nigeria. That's because it's the only country we have. And we have to make sure that things are done properly because I tell you, we envy the Europeans. We'll take calls in right now so we get your reactions to the story of the new minister and what you're expecting from the man, at least in the next 100, in his first 100 days in office. But let's also tell you, by the way, that Ghanaian champions Apem Dakwa ladies have arrived in Benin City, Nigeria for the 2023 CAF Women's Champions League WAFU Zone B qualifiers built to kick off on Friday tomorrow at the Simon Ogbemudia Stadium. The team departed Accra in on Tuesday and arrived today. A contingent of 35 players made up of team officials and a GF representative made a trip to Nigeria as they make a second attempt to qualify for the CAF Women's Champions League. Well, the tournament is scheduled to begin on Friday with the winner picking the only ticket available to WAFU Zone B. Meanwhile, Nigeria's flag bearers in this year's playoff, Delta Queens of Asaba, are in Group A with face off with USF of Burkina Faso on the 18th. That's tomorrow. Other teams, Atletico d'Abidjan, Sam Nelly of Benin Republic. Group B has 3 contenders following the withdrawal of one of the teams from the competition. So for Group B, we're talking Apem Dakwa, AS Guard of Niger Republic, and Friends of the World Football Club of Togo. To pick myself back up. All right, 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. Slower this time. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565. So UT and Blyden do the job this afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sports fan. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, Mari, good afternoon. Blyden, good afternoon.
The sports messiah.
Yes.
Welcome.
Dominic, the sports messiah. Mari, there will be no peace in football development in Nigeria except the parliamentary will be done.
All right.
Hello, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Keep the calls coming in. 090-2223-1011 0817-624-8565. Bladder.
Yeah, we lost that.
All right. Still talking football in the country we hear that, of course, the likes of Bendel Insurance have got a date on Sunday. Blyden.
Hello, good afternoon, Mariduna.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Yes, well, Blyden, good afternoon too. Mariduna, I want you to give me one in the last 6 minutes because I want to say something that is very long and interesting. Mariduna, I want to first of all congratulate okay, my name is John Domingo, calling from North Korea.
Better.
I want to first of all congratulate Senator John Enoh for becoming the new minister of sport in the country. Arizona, everything Biden is saying that is nothing but the truth. Arizona, you need to be a politician first before you even call a minister. And after becoming a minister, you need to be a minister first before you are even given the office as Minister of Youth and Sport. We are busy saying that you should give somebody with a sport experience. Who in the cabal of ministers has a sport experience? Is it just on weekend? Or is it a man that is Senate president? Or is it who? Is it Dave Umahi that is a minister? So nobody there, even they want to check from now till next week. Nobody there has the experience as sport person. These ministers are political appointments. There are people that will help Tinubu win the next game.
All right, thank you.
President. So that is one thing you must consider. You can only pray for this man to
Thank
be
you, Fiat Domingo.
somebody that will love sport. Somebody that will love, develop sport in the country. There are good people, even though as an agriculturist, you may love to do well. There are people who love to do something well, irrespective of their office or something. They just want to be a better person, make a difference. So everything Biden said is nothing but the truth.
All right. Thank you.
And again, okay, I'll call it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Fiat Domingo.
talking to us. It's a conversation. UT.
All right. Hello, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I'm someone coming from Cross River.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
This is my first time.
Welcome to the big family.
I want to just put small mouth in this matter. I never see where somebody is into agriculture to come and manage football. It's compared to Nigeria. This is our country. It's not moving forward in football at all. We just look how Ghana. Look how Ghana football is. Look even Cameroon here. Because our Nigerian football is going down. It's not good. I mean, let them give somebody like Bogota, do the judge, can't work with them. Let them invite them to come and manage our NL people so that people know how they will be before we go judge them. Please, I beg. That's what help us. Please,
All right.
we love Nigeria.
Thank you.
Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, my brother, for talking to us. We'll see what we can do.
That's a cry for help.
Hello, good
Absolutely.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Put some energy, please.
Yeah, very funny. The way you said that the politics in the team you went to coach took away your coaching talent.
What's your name, please?
Please, I want to talk about the man.
Yes, let's get your name first.
Mr. John, I think if the portfolio doesn't sound set enough, you should be in the Ministry of Agriculture. Because looking at his portfolio, he has a poultry farm, and he has farm businesses. And it's even the given minister for education because he has had educational experience teaching in the University of Canada. So bringing in someone that doesn't have any sporting experience into the sports team, I think it's going to ruin our sports development and
All right.
get that in relation to
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, guys.
Welcome. Name and location.
My name is Peter, representing from Rochester.
Welcome,
All right.
Peter.
Go ahead.
Please, I don't want to talk much. All I want to say is that Mr. Biden would have been a perfect Peter for that position.
Well, you see the thing, he's not a politician. That's the sad. He's Blind is not the politician. That's the thing. Well, guys, before we cross over to talk about something, because there's no time.
Okay.
So obviously we've settled that these men are first of all politicians.
Yeah,
definitely.
That gives them the entrance to get into this appointments. Now, what's stopping our sports people, ex-internationals, ex-football sports administrators in the country to become mainstream politicians so they can get here? Maybe they are the ones to save us. Blyden.
One of the reasons would be they have to spend lots of money they made in Europe.
No, but they have the money.
Well, you never can tell.
Imagine
Most of footballers over time, there's been recent conversation. I was listening to a Yimba coach advise footballers to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
Because here is it. At the playing time, some of them never really had investment. Exceptional footballers now are trying to do that. So, and the experience that comes with it, and when you put in lots of effort to play all these games and have lots of money in hard currency, and you come back and begin to spend it around, with politicians that you're not sure of. I think that could be the limitation for some of them not joining politics,
Right.
and especially coming from a sen when politics is smoother compared to the nature of politics here.
Truly, Blyden deserves his position. So, let's talk about the IMBA. They confirmed over the weekend, yesterday actually, that a sponsorship deal with Stake.com, the world's leading cryptocurrency casino and sports book, have been reached to become the club's primary shared sponsor. And that makes sense. Tomorrow we'll do a list of NPFL teams with shared sponsors, including Aqua United. And that's a good story. Well, people say this is just a signature to the brilliance of Kanu Wanko, who's the chairman of the site. It's a conversation for tomorrow as well. But let's move on to what happened in Greece yesterday.
And the Inter de Milan, he saved us in the right moment. But in general, the game was really good, and like we understand that every time the goal go with Jack Grealish or Cole Palmer and 2 or 3 players from Sevilla go to help the fullbacks, we should go to the opposite side a little bit more. The moment we understood that, we play better. In the last 30 minutes, the second half was really good. And 1 week ago, we lost for penalties, and this time we won it.
Joseph Pep Guardiola, coach of City, Manchester City, after the team won. Well, the story is that they defeated Sevilla in the Nervi, 1-1 draw in the regulation time, defeated Sevilla on penalties, and that's the story. Well, Fon, how do you sum up this game holistically to start from?
Well, Mario, I'll tell you, I'm bamboozled by Joseph Pep Guardiola. I'm tired of analyzing this man. He starts the season on a very poor note. Sevilla dominated Manchester City. Sevilla don't dominate games. They just go there and sit and give a low block. But Sevilla was dominating Manchester City. That game was, I don't know. But I think it's great for, Manchester City to get this Super Cup victory, to add to their momentum. They're trying to defend the title they won last year, the Champions League, the league and everything. So it's a good game for them. It was also good for them to have that penalty victory.
UT, so at some point, maybe in the first half particularly, City were just passing around,
Absolutely.
just dancing around, no cutting edge and all of that. And it kind of brings back the Kevin De Bruyne conversation, because this man gives them a cutting edge. Are you sure that they're going to survive without Kevin De Bruyne?
I think it will be quite problematic for them, because over time, even when Pep Guardiola tries to do without the man Kevin De Bruyne, we still see that lob hole left by the man in the center, in the middle of the park rather. So at some point we had the man Ike Gundogan doing the damage in his absence. But as we speak, Matthew Kovacic cannot do. He can't feel the boots of Kevin De Bruyne at this time. The man Bernardo Silva, we're not even sure he will be starting.
Start yesterday. Foden started.
So it will be quite problematic, particularly for Erling Haaland, because most of the supplies last season came from Kevin De Bruyne, and at this point, I can tell you that I'm missing the man already.
Blyden Palmer striked again for City. Youngster scored in the competition for against Arsenal, scored yesterday, gave City that much needed draw to take the game to penalties. Well, he's a bright future for City, and Pep is saying either he stays or he goes permanently. What do you make of this youngster?
Well, I think you should say he's playing brilliant football. Watch him yesterday.
Yeah.
He was a cutting edge for them somewhat. Early in the game, struggled a bit. I couldn't get past Acuna. Acuna always a difficult man.
That man is a bullish Argentine.
He looks like a
I can't
pirate.
play against him myself.
Mary, he looks like a pirate. Decent footballer on the other hand, but decent footballer Acuna. But the intimidating physicality from Acuna made life so difficult for him, but afterwards began to turn up to the party. And when it was quite difficult for Manchester City to link up the passes, got the goal, a header, a strange way to score for Manchester City.
Yeah, but a goal is a goal at the end of the day.
And Varius had some decent game yesterday, pulling in lots of crosses in for them. At some point, they had to depend on the crosses because they couldn't play through the middle of the pack. And it brings back the conversation of players that are leaving and players that are staying. Kovacic, typical midfielder for in the middle, but can't bring you those final third passes. And it's a conversation. I was wondering why Alvarez never started that game yesterday with Erling Haaland. He could have created enough distraction probably for them to play better, but at the end of it, a win is a win.
Well, of course,
a
win is a win. Congrats to Manchester City, 4 trophies in the space of how many months? It makes sense for them. The Premier League, the FA Cup, the Super League, and of course the UEFA Champions League. It's a story for them. Congrats to them, and it's a good way to start the season. They lost last weekend. 2 weekends ago, rather, to the competition to Arsenal. So this is maybe a better trophy. Makes sense. Well, let's talk about the twist, guys. This is shocking. On Tuesday, we said Michael Olise has agreed to join Chelsea. The what they call it, release clause has been triggered, £35 million. But today, we hear Olise has signed a new 4-year deal with the club amidst interest from Chelsea. On Tuesday, we said he was going to join Chelsea, but Palace chairman Steve Parish, who yesterday accused Chelsea of tapping, right? So approaching Olise illegally. And that's the story. But what do you make of this seeming drama? Olise, poised to join Chelsea, signs a 4-year deal.
Well,
Crystal Palace.
For one, I'm excited that Chelsea fans get to be put back.
I asked the wrong person.
I'm excited that Chelsea fans get to be put in their place for once, But I think it's about the contractual, difficulties and debacles there surrounding that, because actually this deal was close to happening, and now all of a sudden the man is signing a new 4-year contract. I think the man has been held by the scruff of his neck there and forced to sign that contract. In the coming days, maybe we might get a little clarity on what really happened.
It looks like that, UT, because we hear that the Crystal Palace board are threatening to take Chelsea to court, particularly. And in all of the story, it made this man Olise sign the contract.
Now, what happens is that, firstly, if you're a club side going to sign a player, you must first contact the club side, the parent club of that player, and you will be given some level of,
permission to talk to the player.
So Chelsea didn't go officially to speak to Crystal Palace. They went directly to the player before triggering the release clause, and that's just the whole story about the whole situation.
Which is illegal.
It's illegal. So he understands that it's illegal, and that's why he's forced to sign the 4-year deal.
Yeah, they've told him if you
don't do it, you will get divorced.
This is my perspective of all this deal.
Right.
Look at it. Michael Olise joined Crystal Palace 2021 from Reading, and signed a 5-year deal, and the 5-year deal is still on. And then, at this time, they had a release clause as a den. Release clause was £35 million. And now look at the market, what the market is doing right now. And Olise is a young player, barely 22 years of age. And Crystal Palace realized, look, if we give this guy a new contract, we might change his release clause. And it gets better, considering the fact that Chelsea has been speaking to the agents. So they threaten all this. I think in the long run, we might just see Michael Olise probably get to leave the club. He's signed an extra 4-year deal now. How many deals now? 9 massive years it's been for him. Yeah. And it's barely how many years at the club.
So this is obviously been to also extort Chelsea.
In the current market, is worth more.
Come on.
It's worth more than 35.
In the current market, if you want to sell a player of Michael Olise's status, we'll be talking around 70.
So Chelsea should still go in and try to sign him?
I think Chelsea wouldn't do that, because Chelsea understands what's going on.
Right.
Because for me, if the price was fair, Crystal Palace wouldn't come up to talk about tapping.
Yeah.
That's it.
So Chelsea would not go in, but Chelsea still need a creative midfielder. They need a number 10 because Nkunku is out. So they need a source of creativity. At this point, what should we thought Molly's plan be?
Well, they're interested in Brennan Johnson of Nottingham Forest at the moment.
Brennan Johnson?
Quality is still in doubt, Mary. Not really an established Premier League player.
Well, Chelsea these days don't really care about established names.
And he's more of a striker.
A winger.
For Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, more of sort of.
No, so we'll check out Brennan Johnson tomorrow, but that's the story. Well, before we take the second batch of calls and also head to Facebook too, let's tell you that Erling Haaland is one of the 3 Manchester City players nominated for the Professional Football Association Men's Player of the Year award. He's 23, scored 52 goals last season, and he's also nominated for the Young Player of the Year. This guy, crazy. Also, the 6-man shortlist, Arsenal player Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. Harry Kane is also nominated, who joined Bayern Munich, and the 4 nominees for the Players Player of the Year award. For the Young Player of the Year, Saka is nominated alongside Haaland, but also Chelsea's Moises Caicedo played for Brighton last season alongside Brighton's Evan Ferguson, Aston Villa's Jacob Ramsey, and Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli. But as Bladden comes in right now, the award ceremony comes up, I think it's this weekend or thereabouts next week. And OBO is going to be performing in that award ceremony. Davido. Makes sense for me. As an OBO fan, Bladden, you wanted to say something.
Okay, when you were talking, I thought you were talking about the UEFA nominees anyway.
Yeah, we'll talk about UEFA nominees. What's PFL awards because, from here we go to the continent. Right, so let's take calls in, take some comments on Facebook, talk about UEFA nominees. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565.
Hello, football fan. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Harry. Good afternoon, ladies.
Santi Carzola.
Santi.
Yeah. You see, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the Nigerian minister what I want you guys to be saying, and I want to blow your mind also. Now, if you want to do it like this, for instance, you guys are sports presenters now, in accordance to make things according to now, for example, you are married in planet, right then, and the last station, my teacher was at the last station, and Daniel Williams is the last station. Now, we want to make our international players, or we want to approve the minister. Why not treat them like that as our ex-players? So, okay, we bring them to the public and bring us five ex-players. Now, we are not asked the public now to choose this person who will win.
Santi, that's what I was saying. It's a political thing. It's usually political, actually. These people have got more jobs than just the ministry.
Mary.
Yes.
It is very wrong. It is very wrong. Like, for instance, now, when you guys are here, and they now brought the former governor of Kwara State to come and be a minister of sports, does it make sense? No, look at it in that round. Does it make
My
sense?
brother, it does not make sense. I need to be the minister. Mary needs to be the minister. It does not make sense.
Thank you, Santi. Thank you
Santi,
for talking to us.
for recommending us.
Sadly, yeah. Thank you so much. That's quite a recommendation. Sadly, this is Nigeria. Things don't happen that way. Well, let's head to Facebook and take comments from there, Blyden, before you come with the calls, right? Augustine Bennett on the sports page says, thanks to President Bola Tinubu for the appointment of John Enoh as minister. I'll be very much happy to see Saudi Pro League teams in the Champions League. It's a conversation. Xavier Archibong says, good afternoon, Sports Group. Firstly, I want to congratulate the citizens for winning yet another major trophy. Big ups to them. Nigeria should start placing the right persons at the right position so that we can achieve big and be successful as other top nations. Victor Akman says, congrats to CT for as sports minister is putting a square peg in a square hole. For in a round hole rather, for Chelsea, they should go for another player immediately. Myth Marklin says, good PM guys, update me on sports transfer. So Barrow says, what is wrong with Olise? I was so looking forward to his signature. I feel Chelsea will still pick him because his creativity is in it going forward. If Palace is where he wants to be, then I wish him the very best. Thank you, Kemo Doka, Augustine Bennett, Lazarus Blinks, and Ukeme Jackson. Have comments from the live feed. All right.
Stale Plus from Cameroon says, Planet Radio, too bad for us in Cameroon not getting you guys. Wishing my team Chelsea.
You can actually get us on the live feed and, of course, a radio garden too.
Yeah. And Joseph Suberu says, well, Mr. John Enoh looks smart. I am also surprised that President Tinubu picked an agrarian, but I want to stay optimistic. He looks like the kind of person who will fix stadiums like National Stadium Liberty. I look forward to his stadium. UB Akang says Pep Guardiola equals Carlo Ancelotti record of 4 UEFA Super Cup titles. Ukemo Udeme Udoka says, good afternoon, football crew. Congratulations to the citizen. Our best is yet to come. Niger, no one change. Up Niger. Louise Wabase says, I don't think the sports minister can suffer anything. As for me, Victor Wem says, we can't get Planet Signal again here in Calabar.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much for that observation. Our engineers will work with that. All right. Thank you very much. Now, Blyden, one call before we talk about the UEFA nominees and Saudi Arabia.
All right. Here we go. Hello.
Fabrizio Romano.
Yes, good afternoon, Blyden.
Good afternoon. What's the name?
This is Melody, coming from you.
Welcome, Melody.
I want to contribute concerning the sport ministry. I think the problem of Nigeria is not the sport ministry. The sport ministry is a political appointment and more like a reward system in Nigeria. So it is more given to a politician and formally to a future sport. So somebody that has a body language and someone that is also in a party that's giving that. The problem is the federation. The problem of Nigerian football is the football federation. The problem of the basketball is the basketball federation because those are the bodies that are controlling those federations that are supposed to control the basketball. But there is no transparency, no accountability. That is where they have the problem. Those are bodies, they are not really organized. That is why the basketball cannot move forward, the football cannot move forward. Because the sport ministry, being a political appointment, you cannot say that someone else's government should go and control the NFL.
Thank you, Melody.
In the top band.
Thank you.
The football federation should arrange themselves. That's what it is.
Thank you so much,
Fantastic
Melody, for talking to us. Quite a view there. But let's talk about UEFA. They have today announced the names of the top 3 nominees for the UEFA Men's Player of the Year award. The award winner will be announced at the group stage ceremony that takes place on the 31st of August 2023 for the players of the year nominates in alphabetical order. Just so you know, Kevin De Bruyne, Belgium; Man City; Erling Haaland, Norway; Man City; Lionel Messi, PSG; now Inter Miami. It's a conversation for tomorrow, guys. For the coach of the year nominee, Pep Guardiola, Spain; Man City; Simone Inzaghi, Italy; Inter Milan; Luciano Spalletti, Italy, formerly with Napoli. Here's what concerns us, because I love money, and I don't know who doesn't. But Saudi Arabia reportedly wants a team in the Champions League as the plan a sensational wildcard request to UEFA. According to Corriere dello Sport, Saudi authorities want the Pro League winners, anybody that wins the league that season, to have a shot at the Champions League from 2024-25 season. They plan to propose a wildcard entry that would allow the Saudi domestic league champions participate in Europe's top club competition. And of course, the think tank committee at Jeddah would request UEFA to discard the current structure of the competition and replace it with a single championship format with 36 teams, and 8 teams will qualify for the knockout stages. Now, blinding paraphrasing, the Saudi Arabians want to buy their way to the Champions League.
Well, Mari, I think they should. They've spent a lot of money.
Yeah, and the Europeans are there now.
Lots of Europeans are there. And now the demand comes because it means they also have to do more spending spree. Bring up very solid team to participate in the Champions League. Otherwise, they become an embarrassment in the Champions League. But it's not bad at all being a wildcard in the Champions League. It makes sense from my standpoint.
What do you make of this story in front? Because if it's accepted, you know, we say like Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, Neymar, and the rest of them play in the Champions League.
Well, I think it's great when we've already discussed this before, you know, that it's about what money cannot do, more money can do. These people have money and they're bringing their money to the fore, using it to do good things, not using it to oppress people like, you know, some other clients back here. So I think it's a great one for them to use their money.
Yeah, has a problem with some people.
Well, I feel it's a global relevance, actually, because, you know, over time they've actually improved the quality of that league. We talk in Al Ittihad, likes of Karim Benzema and N'Golo Kante being there as well. And of course, we've seen quality players also moving to that particular end. So if they're inclusive in the UEFA Champions League as wildcards, it would be much improvement in terms of developmental phase of Saudi Arabian football.
All right, so for the Ronaldo fans, they're happy because their man is going to be in the Champions League next. Might be in the Champions League. But for the Messi fans, do not be perturbed. Inter Miami are invited to participate in the Copa Libertadores from next year. And of course, if the admiration and fandom of Lionel Messi is taking over American soccer, well, this is it. And we hear that this was according to reports from CONMEBOL chief Alejandro Dominguez, requesting that the AFA President Claudio Tapia make an attempt to get Messi and Inter Miami to be involved in the Copa Libertadores. Now, it's one of the fiercest competitions we have in the world. Apart from the drama, the fight, the brawls.
That's why it's fiercest part of it.
It's intense.
Fans too.
It's intense football, Blyden.
Aggression, everything.
It's intense football. I watch their games and I tell you, I can't play there. I'm an Ajebota.
Mari, I know you can only play in MLS.
It's more than Italian football.
All right,
back in those days.
I'll take that as a compliment. I want to go make money in the MLS. But Inter Miami in the Copa Libertadores, well, you think that because you're scoring 15 goals in the MLS, they'll do the same at the Copa Libertadores?
Well, I do not think so. I think they'll be beaten black and blue. It will be quite difficult for Inter Miami.
What about the Messi factor, UT?
I think it should be quite. It should give them some extra boost going into that competition. We've actually seen them play. They played so badly last season. See, we saw where they finished of last season.
Messi came
but
in
with
and
the introduction of
goals.
Messi, it looks like all of them are beginning to, you know, be prime Messi. Definitely. So it might just start to change destiny for them.
If you bring Palmeiras, bring River Plate, bring all those teams
Corinthians
to MLS, they'll win the league. Easily.
just Corinthians. Bring the Philippians too. I also win the league as well. Let's take our last match, of course, because it's getting crazy here. 090-2223-1011 and 0817-624-8565 Bladden.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody there.
Welcome.
What's the name?
Brian from Port Harcourt.
Welcome, Brian. How's Port Harcourt?
The UEFA should approve that request those guys are making to come and play in Champions League. That is a good one. Let them approve it. Please, let me talk about the Neymar signing and all the things, the cars, the money,
We discussed it yesterday.
Yes.
We talked about it yesterday.
Just And secondly, let's not be talking ourselves about Nigeria ministers. We're here in this country, Minister of Education came out and started questioning Buhari. Why did he give him Minister of Education? That it was the wrong minister. Now again, they have started again. What is Enoh want to do? Please, let him enjoy himself, and at the end, let him complain and tell us that that was the wrong minister.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
okay.
you for
Let the violence breathe. Thank you so much. No room for violence this afternoon. Yuti.
Hello, football fan. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. I'm calling from Enoh.
Welcome.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Your voice is breaking.
Right,
I think you
Blyden.
have to call us back.
Yeah, Blyden. How 5 seconds, Melody.
Talking about the president of Saudi Arabia for one of their league winners to come to Europe and play. It has been a good move. But the problem would have been distance. The distance between Asia and Europe.
My brother, you think that's a problem? Do you know how many fleets they have? Never has a private jet on his own, my brother. Then don't let that be. This is not Nigeria where they travel through.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to say congratulations to my team, Man City, and for winning the UEFA Cup. This is injury.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Liverpool are in talks to sign Enoh. He's set to join. He's 30 years of age. Played over 33 games for Stuttgart last season. Was a captain. His name is Wataru Enoh. He's a defensive midfielder, and he's Liverpool's plan C because their plan A, plan B went to Chelsea.
Yeah, exciting to have the guy back. Quite combative midfielder. Now to have the guy come. Yeah. I'm saying back because lots of players are refusing to go to Liverpool, but I'm happy that there's a player that wants to move to Liverpool. That's his time. And also here, Mari, part of it, maybe you're going to go to it, that Amrabat is also thinking about joining Liverpool ahead of Manchester United. Is rated £30 million. And I think he'll be suitable if he goes to Liverpool, not Manchester
Let's get some concreteness on the story. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Thank you so much. Liverpool, by the way, also looking at Cheick Doucouré, as well from Crystal Palace, 23-year-old Malian midfielder. And that's the story from there. Thank you so much, guys, for being a part of it. Thank you so much, Blyden.
How time flies.
Yeah, I mean, we were having so much fun today with fun throwing jabs here, left side center. I would ask him
this man is beginning to score lots of goals. He says.
Maybe the minister, the person Peter's minister, he probably has a problem with the person or something. Maybe
he had a better choice.
Yeah, maybe it's family member or something. Thank you for being the minister. Thank you for being a part of the conversation as well.
A pleasure to be here as well, man.
Absolutely, you and your groceries, enjoy it. My name is Marizona, ladies and gentlemen. We're having fun actually, and it makes sense because this life probably already finished. Get yourself some joy. Vinner Talks comes up right now with the news on the hour. And from there, she holds it down. It's Thursday. Enjoy. My name is Marizona. See you tomorrow.
It's simple. We lead, they follow. Planet 101.1 FM. That's just who we are.
Update at 4 on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. New Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Boshuti Jani, expressed his appreciation to President Bola Tinubu for opportunity to build bigger and better future for all Nigerians. National Chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yabagi Sani, says assigning Minister of State for Petroleum Resources from oil-rich Niger Delta area is a wrong signal. Abia State Head of Service Joy Maduka flags off physical verification exercise in state civil service with declaration that no place would be left for ghost workers and age falsifiers. Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi commiserates with Nigerian Air Force on recent helicopter crash which claimed lives of some soldiers. Residents of Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital, decry current economic situation in the country, calls on government for solution. On the foreign scene, more than 60 people are feared dead after a boat carrying migrants was found off Cape Verde in West Africa. In sports, Nottingham Forest manager Steve Cooper says Taiwo Awoniyi is not fully fit yet. And that's the news updates this hour. I am Davina Praise Omang.
We are the new Planet Radio station. I love it.
It's awesome.
Revolving around you. Love it. Love it. Hook, line, and sinker. Like our Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and listen live wherever you go. On planet101fm.ng.
Ideas can be life-changing. Sometimes all you need to open the door is just one more good idea, and they usually show up when you least expect them. Planet Radio, an indigenous radio station, came alive when people least expected it. The first ever private indigenous radio station in the great state of Akwa Ibom. Planet Radio is poised to revolutionize radio broadcasting in the Aqua Cross region as an alternative platform of communication, propelling diversity in its wake. Planet Radio is set to nurture original, dynamic, and entertaining approaches to program making with audience satisfaction in mind. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, revolving around you.
We are the new Planet Radio station. I love it.
It's awesome.
Revolving around you. It's rising. Rising like the sun and shining forth. Sustaining life like never before. It will never set. The Planet Radio Station. 101.1. Uyo, Nigeria. This is the place to be.
In line with our vision to become and remain a constant choice of information dissemination and public enlightenment, as well as propagate quality broadcasting, TAF Media Group, the umbrella body of Planet Radio, Tangsio FM, and Spectrum Television, is glad to announce the existence of our one-stop feedback channel, where questions and concerns about our policies and programming can be channeled. In this wise, legitimate and responsible queries and complaints will be entertained via these platforms for swift responses. Call, SMS, or reach us via WhatsApp on 0916-984-0307 or send us an email on tafmediagroup1@gmail.com.
This is Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. Our listeners are our most valuable assets, the bedrock of our business, the reason for our existence all these years. Thank you for your patronage and listenership. For inquiries, please call us on 0809-016-9101 or write to us at planet101fm@gmail.com.
It's simple. We lead, they follow. Planet 101.1 FM. That's just who we are. Information and entertainment make a good collabo on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. We are the new Planet Radio station. I love it.
It's awesome.
Revolving around you.
Attention, please. This is a boarding call for all intending passengers on Air Flight 101.1, departing for Planet FM. Flight time is Thursday, 4 p.m. Please proceed to check-in.
To come on board this flight, tune in to Planet 101.1 FM every Thursday at 4 p.m. to be a part of the program Thursday with Ibom Air. This half-hour program is highly interactive and informative with phone-in sessions and live stream on our social media pages. Fun trivia games with loads of exciting prizes to be won. Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air is a public enlightenment program designed to curb misinformation about Ibom Air's modus operandi and receive customers' feedback. This program is in partnership with TAF Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Cabin crew, you may now commence your in-flight duties.
Life is a journey, so let us journey with you. The sky is no limit. Hey, we can take you there. So welcome aboard. Fly anywhere in the world. Catch every glimpse of the clear blue sky. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome on board. Welcome to TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. Of course, another great time to bond with all of you live here on Planet 101.1 FM. It's going to be an amazing time. How are you all enjoying the weather in Uyo? But we are here to give you all the juicy conversations that you need to know about, of course, your favorite airline, Ibom Air. Of course, my name is Janice Cobham. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. If you're just joining in, and let's have a great time. Yes, let's have a great time. I'm going to be opening the phone lines very, very quickly so that we can have, share banters on what you think. Yes, this is aviation update and fun trends. So let me just share your thoughts, know what you think about what kind. Now, this is the question now. Real quick, grab your phone lines, okay, so that you can participate in this very one. How do you like to dress for a flight and why? That's a big question. How do you like to dress for a flight and why? Now I'm going to give you options, okay, so that you can choose from, but you're going to call me. I'm going to open up the phone lines very, very quickly. But options now. Options very quickly. You have casuals, you have official, you have sporty, and any other kind of dressing. I know that some people like to dress like in native, representing the Nigerian culture and all of that. But how do you like to dress for a flight and why? Options again, casuals, officials, and sporty. Do well to call me very, very quickly now. Do well to call me. I'm just going to get the phone line now and send it out to you so that you can join on this particular one. Okay, live here on TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air, and the number to call me on this afternoon is 0902-223-1011. Do also call me 0902-223-1011. Quickly now, let's get on this particular one. How do you like to dress for a flight and why? Casual, official, or sporty? I think I have a first caller. Okay, so just do well to call me. Sharply, do well to call me, and let's have some conversation. Hello, who's there on the phone line? Hello, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, this is Magnet calling from you.
Violence?
I said Magnet.
Oh, Magnet. I'm sorry about that. Magnet. So, quickly now, how do you like to dress for a flight and why?
Actually, I go for officially.
Official? Why official?
Because there's no too much casualty in flight.
Okay, no too much casuals, you mean, not
0902-223-1011 is the number to call, and the question is very simple. Remember, this is TDT Touchdown with Ibom Air. How do you like to dress for a flight and why? Hello? Hello? Hello, what's that? What's your name? Okay, drop call. How do you like to dress for a flight and why? I'll take just one more call and then take a breather. And when I come back, of course, we have so much more on TDT this afternoon. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling me from?
Please don't be offended. This is Magnet calling back.
Okay, Magnet.
Please, I have an issue with this Ibom.
Okay, so just do us a favor. You know that you have a feedback to give to us. Just send a text message to the number you're calling right now, and we'll get to address that. Okay, so if you have a feedback you want to give or a complaint or whatever thing you want to address, please do well to send a text message to 0902-223-1011. At this point, I'll very quickly take a breather, and when I come back, of course, we have so much more on Touchdown with Ibom Air this afternoon. That's pop quiz, and of course, lots more for you on the show this afternoon. Just stay with us.
Right, tune in to Planet 101.1 FM every Thursday at 4 p.m. to be a part of the program Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. This half-hour program is highly interactive and informative with phone-in sessions and live stream on our social media pages. Fun trivia games with loads of exciting prizes to be won. Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air is a public enlightenment program designed to curb misinformation about Ibom Air's modus operandi and receive customers' feedback. This program is in partnership with TAF Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Cabin crew, you may now commence your in-flight duties.
Experience service, better. On time, no delay. Never. We are going higher. We are moving forward. Everybody, make una hear. If you wanna fly, Ibom Air. 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 Schedule reliability, comfort availability. Anytime you fly, Ibom Air. Schedule reliability, comfort availability. Anytime you fly, Ibom Air. If you wanna fly,
Okay. If you're just joining the show now, and of course, this is TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. And of course, if you're just hearing about Ibom Air, let me just reel out some of the great services that we get to offer on Ibom Air. That is, if you are flying with Ibom Air, we're talking about great services. We're talking about smooth flight. We're talking about on time. Like you get to land on time. You leave on time and then you get to land on time as well. And when we even talk about hospitable cabin crew, these people are marvelous. The cabin crew, I tell you, they are marvelous and very, very hospitable as well. And then someone just said something. He said, I have flown Ibom Air before over and over again, and they are very affordable. Now that's the key, very affordable. All right, guys, so this is still TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air, and we have a pop quiz coming up right about now. So very quickly, my phone line is still buzzing, but I'm going to ask you questions from my pop quiz at this moment. I have about just 4 Do I have a call now? Okay, let me take that one. Hello, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling me from?
Hello, this man is calling from you.
Okay, Magnet. Okay, just go ahead and say what you want to say.
I'm calling for the quiz.
Okay, you're calling for the quiz now. Okay, thank you. Did you send a message to the phone line I talked about earlier?
I'll do it now.
Okay, please do well. We need those feedbacks as well so we can serve you better. All right, so for the quiz, please choose a number. I have 1 to 4, so choose a number very quickly. Okay, Magnet is away. All right, do also call me 0902-223-1011. I don't know if I'm too fast about this number right now. Hello? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling me from?
Richard calling from you.
Richard? What did you say your name was?
Richard calling from you.
Okay, so just pick a number very quickly now.
Number 3.
Number 3. Okay, number 3. And number 3 says, in Ibom Air, what ages are eligible for infant tickets? What ages are eligible for infant tickets when you're flying Ibom Air? 11. Okay, so I'm just going to put that down. At the end of the show, you know whether you got that correctly or not, okay?
Okay, man.
All right, thank you so much, Richard, for calling on the show this afternoon. 0902-223-1011 is the number to call to be a part of this pop quiz at this moment. I have 3 more questions to go. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Joseph calling from Uyo.
Joseph from Uyo. Okay, Joseph, go ahead. What number do you want to choose?
Okay, number 4.
Number 4. Okay. So, number 4 says, what is Ibom Air's website? What is Ibom Air's website? Go ahead.
The website.
Yes, the website for Ibom Air.
Okay. www.ibomair.com.
Okay, www.ibomair.com. Okay, thank you so much, Joseph. You get to find out the real answer at the end of the show. Thank you so much. Okay, 2 more questions to go. 2 down and 2 to go. Okay, so do well to call me 0902-223-1011. Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Number 2.
Question number 2. Okay, Magnets. Question number 2 says, what time does airport check-in close for Ibom Air?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Magnets, thank you so much. You find out whether you got the answer correctly at the end of the show. Okay, so guys, 3 questions up now. 1 more question to go. Very quickly. Do I have a phone call? Do I have a call? Okay, let me take that one. Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
What's your name and where are you calling me from?
I'm from you. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. What's your name and where are you calling me from?
My name is Ayman, all the way from Planet.
Ayman, all the way from Planet?
Planet.
Okay, whatever that means. All right, so go ahead. I have just 1 question left, and that is question number 1. So maybe I'm just going to ask you that question right away. Which airport terminal in Lagos does Ibom Air fly from?
What?
Which airport terminal in Lagos does Ibom Air fly from? Now, okay, maybe I should rephrase the question. Now, Ibom Air flies from a particular terminal in Lagos Airport. What is the name of the terminal? Okay, so this is a difficult one for Iman this afternoon. Maybe you should just hang on and let someone else call and see if we can get that correctly. 0902-223-1011. Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Kufra.
Your name is Kufra, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I just have 1 number left, and that So just ask you that question now. Which airport terminal in Lagos does Ibom Air fly from?
It's Murtala Muhammad Airport.
Murtala Muhammad Airport. Okay, so there's something else attached to it. What particular terminal at the Murtala Muhammad Airport?
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
No, you said Murtala Muhammad. What terminal? Okay, so Joseph is not getting that one correctly right now. I'm going to take one last call before I take a breather. 0902-223-1011 is the number to call and join in the pop quiz this afternoon. Hello? Hello? Hello, good afternoon. Okay, so this is the pop quiz question segment where we have to choose numbers and get to answer questions. And of course, if you get it correctly, you stand a chance to win Ibom Air gift items. So very quickly, I think I have a call now. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Uyo. My name is Victor.
Victor from Uyo. Okay, Victor, choose a number to answer.
Number 2.
Number 2 has been taken. Okay, so quickly, number 1 is the only question that is left right now.
Okay.
Which airport terminal in Lagos does Ibom Air fly from?
MM2. Murtala Muhammad Airport 2.
All right, thank you very much, Victor. You get to find out if you won this question at the end of the show. Okay, so guys, all questions taken, all questions answered, but we'll find out the winners at the end of the day and the right answers to each of these questions at the end of the show. So at this point, we'll take a breather, but don't forget, this is TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air, your flyest airplane.
Attention please. This is a boarding call for all intended passengers on Ibom Air Flight 101.1 departing for Planet FM. Flight time is Thursday, 4 p.m. Please proceed to check-in.
To come on board this flight, tune in to Planet 101.1 FM every Thursday at 4 p.m. to be a part of the program Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. This half-hour program is highly interactive and informative with phone-in sessions and live stream on our social media pages. Fun trivia games with loads of exciting prizes to be won. Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air is a public enlightenment program designed to curb misinformation about Ibom Air's modus operandi and receive customers' feedback. This program is in partnership with TAF Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Cabin crew, you may now commence your in-flight duties.
Guys, I am having so much fun here, and I guess you are as well. This is TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air, and we just wrapped up the pop quiz segment. Of course, we had callers call and answer quiz questions. I'm just going to reel out the answers to these questions very quickly so you know what, of course, the people that weren't on this particular segment. So I'm going to start with Magnet. Of course, he chose number 2. What time does airport check-in close for Ibom Air? And he said 6 o'clock. Of course, the answer to that question is check-in time closes 45 minutes before scheduled time of flight departure. Airport check-in closes 45 minutes before scheduled time of flight departure. So, Magnet, you got your answer very, very wrong. I'm sorry about that, Magnet. And of course, Iman chose question number from. Iman, you said Murtala Muhammad Airport, but you did not get the terminal. I was actually after the terminal, and so you got that wrong. I am so sorry because someone else got it absolutely right, and that is Victor. Victor said Terminal 2, MMA2, Murtala Muhammad Airport, which is actually the right answer. Over now to Richard. Richard said he picked number 3, and in number 3 the question is, in Ibom Air, what ages are eligible for infant tickets? Now the answer to this question, I don't know if it was a tricky question though, but it's not a tricky question. The answer to it is children under the age of 2 are eligible for infant tickets. Richard said 11 years, which is absolutely wrong. Sorry, Richard, you didn't get to win that particular question. And of course, Joseph said for number 4 question, what is Ibom Air's website? I think this is just the cheapest question on this particular pop quiz. Everybody flying Ibom Air, and you get to log in and do the flight checks online. You definitely know this particular question. Okay. He said www.ibomair.com, and so Joseph, you got your answer correctly. At the end of the show, we'll get to find out how your gifts can reach out to you. We can reach out to you with your gift items from Ibom Air. Don't forget, this is TDT Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. And so as part of wrap up now, we're just going to go quickly to what did you know, or did you know? Did you know things you never knew about Ibom Air? I'm going to share this very, very quickly with you, but let me just take a very short breather. And when I come back, of course, did you know as what's next?
Learn more about the growing aviation industry and stand a chance to win exclusive gifts and benefits every Thursday on Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air, 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Exclusive to Planet 101.1 FM Rio. This program is proudly brought to you by Ibom Air in partnership with TAF Media Group.
All right, welcome back, guys. It's still TDC Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air live here on Planet 101.1 FM. And my name is Janice on the MIC this evening. So very quickly now, before we call it wraps on the show, did you know these are questions that you never knew, but we are going to put it out to you this evening. Did you know online check-in for Ibom Air closes 2 hours to scheduled departure, and airport check-in closes 45 minutes before scheduled time of flight departure? I'm going to take that again in case you didn't get it right, okay? Did you know that online check-in for Ibom Air closes 2 hours to scheduled departure, and airport check-in closes 45 minutes before scheduled time of flight departure? This is just to let you know how the services of Ibom Air run. So in case you want to board a flight with Ibom Air, you just know that check-in for Ibom Air closes 2 hours to scheduled departure, and airport check-in closes 45 minutes before scheduled time of flight departure. This is to allow you not to miss your flight at any point in time. It's been a fantastic show this afternoon, and I want to say thank you to all those that called in. I wish I could read out your names right now, but time is fast spent. But we're going to reach out to you with your various numbers on how to get your wins this evening. But thank you so much. Remember, get on board Ibom Air and enjoy the beautiful
This is Planet in partnership with the BBC, and now BBC Minute.
BBC BBC News with Eileen McHugh. West African military chiefs have warned they will send troops into Niger if diplomatic means fail to resolve the crisis there. At a meeting of the regional group ECOWAS, the junta in Niger was accused of playing cat and mouse with the international community, appearing to push for talks while seeking to justify their coup. The residents of an entire city in the far north of Canada have been told to leave by Friday. Yellowknife is threatened by the approach of huge wildfires. Public gatherings have been banned in the Pakistani city of Jaranwala after Muslim crowds burned at least 4 churches. The violence was triggered by accusations that 2 Christians had desecrated the Quran. Spain's parliament has chosen a new socialist speaker. It's the first step towards forming a government after last month's inconclusive general election. Ukraine's military says fighters of the Azov Brigade are back in action. They gained international renown for their defense of the Azovstal steelworks in Mariupol, which eventually fell after a 3-month Russian siege. A wealth management firm in China that looks after tens of billions of dollars is in difficulties. The concern about Zhongjia Enterprise Group is the latest bad news for the Chinese economy. The South African athlete Oscar Pistorius, who was convicted of murdering his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp, has asked the Constitutional Court to declare him eligible for parole. He said staying longer in prison would infringe his human rights. Frankfurt Airport, Germany's biggest, is facing delays due to severe flooding. It affected more than 1,000 passengers overnight. And the president of World Athletics, Sebastian Coe, has been re-elected unopposed for a 3rd and final term. It's one of the most powerful posts in sport. That's the latest world news from the BBC.
The world in 2 minutes.
It's rising. Rising like the sun and shining forth, sustaining life like never before. It will never set. The Planet Radio Station, 101.1, Uyo, Nigeria. This is the place to be.
To begin Spotlight Africa today, we look at an update from the Niger coup where troops of the economic community of West African states have said they are ready to participate in a standby force that could intervene in the Republic of Niger. After the coup seized power from President Mohamed Bazoum, ECOWAS issued a 7-day ultimatum to the military to restore the president or risk sanctions, including possible military action. Now, according to reports, at a meeting in Ghana's capital, Accra, today, the defense chiefs said they're prepared to reinstate the democratic order in Niger. It will be recalled that the ECOWAS defense chiefs began their meeting in Ghana today. The Accra meeting of top army commanders today and Friday came after fresh violence in Niger, with jihadists killing at least 17 soldiers in an ambush. Meanwhile, 20 more soldiers were wounded, 6 seriously, in the heaviest losses since the July 26 coup, when the presidential guard ousted Bazoum and detained him and his family. Jihadist insurgencies have gripped Africa's Sahel region for more than a decade, breaking out in northern Mali in 2012 before spreading to neighboring Niger and Burkina Faso in 2015. Meanwhile, the Defense Ministry in Niger says at least 17 soldiers have been killed in an Islamic militant attack. Another 20 were said to be wounded. The ambush happened in the Taliberi region, close to the border with Burkina Faso. The military said more than 100 attackers were killed as they escaped the scene. Meanwhile, their condolences to the families of those affected. This is the 7th attack of the country's forces since military officers overthrew the government in Niamey about 3 weeks ago. Niger's army has cited the jihadist insurgency as a justification for last month's coup. In a related development still on matters related to Niger, military-appointed Prime Minister Olise has made an unannounced visit to neighboring Chad as West African states set talks for mulling possible military intervention to reverse the country's coup. The Chadian government said that Zien, a civilian appointed by the military rulers who ousted Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum on July 26, arrived in Chad for a working visit. In a statement issued after meeting Chadian President Mohammed Idris Deby Itno, Zien said he had brought a message of good neighborliness and good fraternity from the head of Niger's government, adding that Niger is in a process of transition. Moving away from that, the United States has expressed concern over the threat of worsening violence in Mali, citing attacks on United Nations peacekeepers. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said the attacks were unacceptable and condemned such violence and the larger threat posed by armed actors operating there. On Monday, the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Mali, MINUSMA, said it had been forced to withdraw earlier than usual from the northern town of Beir amid deteriorating security. It said that its withdrawing forces have been attacked twice, with some of the soldiers injured. The United States Department says the attacks highlight the threat of worsening violence and the importance of all Malian parties settling their differences peacefully. In another development, popular Senegalese opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, who's been on hunger strike for 2 weeks in protest against his detention, has been taken into intensive care, according to his allies. Pastev says the authorities were responsible for Sonko's condition after they charged and detained him for insurrection and conspiracy against the state, among other crimes. There has been no statement from the authorities on Sonko's condition. He plans to run for president in February next year, but has been engaged in a bitter power struggle with the authorities since 2021, when he was placed under investigation in a moral corruption case. In June, Sonko was sentenced in absentia to 2 months in prison, which he claimed was politically motivated. That triggered angry clashes by supporters that left 24 people dead, according to Amnesty International. The next month, he was arrested, and earlier this week, he was charged with fomenting insurrection. Elsewhere, Cameroonian journalist Simon Atiba has persisted in his fight against the White House days after filing a lawsuit challenging the cancellation of his press pass. In recent interviews and social media posts, Atiba has claimed that the White House discriminated against him due to his race, because of his tough questions, and because he reports for a lesser-known news outlet. In a lawsuit filed last Thursday against White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and the Secret Service, Atiba alleged that the White House targeted him by introducing a credentialing policy to block him from renewing his White House press pass. The rule change led to Atiba and more than 400 other White House reporters losing their passes. We move down to Tanzania, where 3 journalists and 1 language interpreter have allegedly been injured by a group of young Maasai people living in the Ngorongoro conservation area in northern Tanzania. It's Brike Bajuta, the Deputy Commissioner for Conservation in the area, told newsmen that the attack happened as the journalists were monitoring how authorities have been providing conservation-based education to the citizens living there. Bajuta says they are investigating the attack and legal action will be taken against those identified. Now, according to reports, the injured are being treated at a hospital in the neighboring town of Karatu. It comes amid a row that erupted last year between the government and some Maasai community members opposed to the authorities moving them from what they call their ancestral land. Over now to Kenya. A petition to ban TikTok has triggered a debate among Kenyan members of parliament and citizens. The Kenyan parliament debated the petition, which was presented by a Kenyan, Bob Ndolo. Ndolo asked members of parliament to outlaw TikTok, citing concerns that the platform threatens Kenya's cultural and religious values. The petitioner also said that Kenya's weak regulation of TikTok has caused the proliferation of offensive and inappropriate content on the platform. Ndolo added that the ban would shield Kenyans against the negative effects of TikTok, including addiction, which could disrupt the education and mental health of students. Ndolo also expressed concern that the APP could be illegally collecting or sharing Kenyans' personal data. Still in Kenya, where a high court has released on bail a senator and two former county officials linked to a scholarship scandal. The three were arrested on Wednesday on allegations that they conspired to steal about 1.1 billion Kenyan shillings meant to fund further education for Kenyan students in Finland and Canada. The senator and his
It's rising like the sun and shining forth, sustaining life like never before. It will never set. The Planet Radio Station, 101.1, Uyo, Nigeria. This is the place to be. Information and entertainment make a good collabo on Planet Radio, 101.1 FM.
Of the 444 Brigade. Reports say the fighting shattered months of relative calm in Tripoli. Meanwhile, a 2020 ceasefire has brought a measure of peace to Libya, but entrenched factionalism constantly threatens to upset that. Elsewhere, police in Zimbabwe have arrested 40 members of an opposition coalition who were campaigning ahead of elections next week. They were detained in the Glenue suburb of the capital, Harare. Citizens Coalition for Change (CCC) spokesperson Fadzai Mahare said that Gladmore Hakata, the party's Glenue South Member of Parliament's candidate, was among those arrested. A police statement shared on social media said the CCC had engaged in activities not mentioned in their notification for a rally in the suburb. According to police, they held a vehicle procession, obstructed traffic, and chanted party slogans on the street, prompting a police response after a resident reported the matter. It will be recalled that last month the opposition called on the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to take action against those who use the police to disrupt their rallies. More than 60 migrants feared dead in the Atlantic. Stay tuned for details of these and more after this time out. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. Now to the rest of the stories on Spotlight Africa. We see residents and opposition groups accuse government troops in Ethiopia's largest Oromia region of killing multiple civilians as the army continues to battle militias in another region, Amhara. Family members of victims in West Soa told the newsman that at least 10 civilians, including 4 members of a family, were killed by government forces. A resident, Arasa Yadisa, said 4 members of his family and 2 farm workers in his village were killed in a single incident. Meanwhile, the armed group, the Oromo Liberation Army, Ola, widely operates in the area. However, Arasa said there had been no fighting between Ola and government forces prior to the attack. In another incident, a university student said he and 3 other young people were taken by security forces from their village, and only he managed to survive after the security forces opened fire on them. Away from that, the majority of participants of a 3-day meeting in the Democratic Republic of Congo's parliament have been affected by long-raging insecurity. Reports say the state of siege, where military authority replaced civil rule, was put in place by the central government in May of 2021 with an aim of fighting armed groups operating in Ituri and North Kivu provinces. But a recent report to the United Nations Security Council by Secretary General Antonio Guterres last week said the situation has become worse in the two provinces where about 4 million people had been displaced. Moving away from that, in the meantime, at least 7 people have died after a boat carrying nearly 300 people sank in the Ndome province in the western part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Authorities are still searching for survivors amid fears of toll rising. According to eyewitnesses, the boat's wooden structure split into two, causing the vessel to sink. Reports say many of the passengers were public servants traveling to a neighboring town for a routine checkup. DR Congo lacks appropriate infrastructure and control mechanism to guarantee the safety of people traveling via its waterways. Experts often attribute such incidents to boats overloading and poor maintenance. It will be recalled that in 2019, at least 30 bodies were recovered after a boat carrying about 400 people capsized in the same province. In a rather sad development, several West African migrants have been found dead aboard a boat drifting off Cape Verde, along with around 40 survivors. The exact number of casualties is unconfirmed. The boat had reportedly set up from Senegal a month ago with around 100 people on board. It is believed the vessel was heading for the Spanish Canary Islands, a popular gateway for migrants to the European Union. Meanwhile, thousands of people fleeing poverty and war risk their lives to make the dangerous crossing each year, often in modest boats or motorized canoes supplied by smugglers. In a related development, more than 60 mostly Senegalese people are feared dead after their boat was found drifting about 300 kilometers from the Atlantic island nation of Cape Verde. Reports say 7 out of 38 survivors are receiving treatment at a hospital. Their wooden fishing boat was found a month after it set off from Senegal with more than 100 migrants on board. Meanwhile, officials in Senegal said they were making arrangements to bring survivors home. Cape Verde officials have called for global action on migration to help prevent further loss of life. Meanwhile, in Rwanda, fugitive Fulgence Kashima, who has been in custody in South Africa, has been arrested again on an order for his transfer to Arusha, Tanzania, to stand trial for genocide. He was arrested while in the holding cells at the High Court in Cape Town yesterday. Reports say Kashima is to answer to charges that he allegedly orchestrated the killing of approximately 2,000 Tutsi refugees at the Catholic Church in Rwanda during the 1994 genocide. Now, according to reports, the developments were at the risk of the United Nations International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals. We move now to Ghana, where we see an imposition of a 10% tax on betting and lottery winnings effective from Tuesday. The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, says the new withholding tax on all betting, games and lottery wins will be deducted at the point of payout. Now, according to the GRA, in situations where a game is cancelled and the player's stake is returned or the value of the payout is less or equal to the amount staked, withholding tax will not apply. Lottery operators have been directed to make changes to their software to display the amount staked. Winnings and tax withheld during payout for easy tracking by the Revenue Authority. GRA Commissioner Edward Gramia says the tax will boost domestic tax revenue mobilization as Ghana's total tax to GDP is very low compared to that of others in the sub-region. Lastly, on Spotlight Africa today, South African athlete Oscar Pistorius, who has spent 6 years in prison for the murder of his girlfriend Rivers Tinkam, has asked the Constitutional Court to declare him eligible for parole. This comes after his bid for parole was denied in March when it was revealed that he had not served the minimum required sentence to qualify for early release. Pistorius was found guilty of murder and was given a 13-year jail sentence in 2017 after a long and dramatic trial and several appeals. He shot and killed Stinkam through the bathroom door of his high-security home on Valentine's Day in 2013, claiming that he had mistaken her for an intruder. He believes he qualifies to be released on parole and that staying longer in prison constitutes an infringement on his fundamental rights. However, the country's top appeals court explained earlier this year that the 6-time Paralympic gold medalist still needs to spend another year and a half in jail before he could be considered for parole. The confusion was brought by the fact that Pistorius' time in prison had been broken up by appeals and by time he spent under house arrest. And that's all we have for you today. This has been Spotlight Africa, brought to you by Spectrum Television and Planet Radio. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You can also follow us at planetradio.ng. I am Uyai Anyek, and thanks for being a part of this, and do enjoy the rest of your evening. Good evening.
Information and entertainment make a good collabo on Planet Radio 101.1 FM.
Ideas can be life-changing. Sometimes all you need to open the door is just one more good idea, and they usually show up when you least expect them. Planet Radio, an indigenous radio station, came alive when people least expected it. The first ever private indigenous radio station in the great state of Akwa Ibom. Planet Radio is poised to revolutionize radio broadcasting in the Aqua Cross region as an alternative platform of communication, propelling diversity in its wake. Planet Radio is set to nurture original, dynamic, and entertaining approaches to program making with audience satisfaction in mind. Planet Radio 101.1 FM, revolving around you.
In line with our vision to become and remain a constant choice of information dissemination and public enlightenment, as well as propagate quality broadcasting, TAF Media Group, the umbrella body of Planet Radio, Tansia FM, and Spectrum Television, is glad to announce the existence of our one-stop feedback channel, where questions and concerns about our policies and programming can be channeled. In this wise, legitimate and responsible queries and complaints will be entertained via these platforms for swift responses. Call, SMS, or reach us via WhatsApp on 0916-984-0307 or send us an email on tafmediagroup1@gmail.com.
This is Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo. Our listeners are our most valuable assets, the bedrock of our business, the reason for our existence all these years. Thank you for your patronage and listenership. For inquiries, please call us on 0809-016-9101 or write to us at planet101fm@gmail.com.
It's simple. We lead, they follow. Planet 101.1 FM. That's just who we are.
Hey, hold it right there. Why are you so disturbed and fighting with your TV remote?
I have been trying to get Spectrum Television without success.
Oh, wow. That's not a problem. All you have to do is join the Think Spectrum TV, StarTimes, and free-to-air team and connect Spectrum TV anywhere in Nigeria on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and free-to-air across West Africa on Nicomsat with a frequency of 12733. Symbol rate 3500 polarization V.
You don't say.
Well, that's not all. The good news is you only get to buy free-to-air just once.
Wow. Think Spectrum Television. Think StarTimes DTH Channel 421. Think free-to-air.
For inquiries, airtime purchase and placement of sales, please call 0704 541 7707.
Follow us across all social media platforms by visiting our website at spectrumtv.ng. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.